Good morning, everyone. So I am still in Coolangatta. It is about, 5:15 in the morning. Last night, I'm at the training. And this will be day 4 of the 5 days of training. So day 3 was a huge day. It was intended to be a massive day, and the participants, me and others, were really stretched to our extreme. It was a very, very late night. The content went very late, and then we had an activity that came after that, and we were in groups of 3, and so the 3 of us, in groups of 3 we had to facilitate each other through this a process I learnt last night. For our group, we finished at 2 a.m. It was pretty huge. So by the time I got home, did some debriefing, got to bed, it was 3. The processing continued, so I didn't really sleep. I've had about 2 hours rest. It was tossing and turning, and I could feel things shifting within me. So I've had 2 hours rest, and at 5 o'clock my body was like, yep, no, this is our wake up time. I usually wake up at 5 in the morning, so my body was like, great, this is our wake up time, let's go. So I've had 2 hours of rest, not even sleep. I've had 2 hours of rest. It's been quite a while since I've had a night like that. And I'm now sitting at the beach. I will turn the phone around and I will show you. This is the incredible beach I'm sitting at. The sun has just come up over the building over there. It's been a really beautiful way to experience this morning. So I wanted to talk a little bit about what happened for me last night. I did get taken through a process, and I keep looking away from the camera because I'm looking at the waves, and it's just absolutely beautiful. I'm a little distracted. So I got taken through a process where I chose to bring my issue, my problem, was my eyesight. So I was born with very severely turned eyes. The left ones was so turned that at birth you really couldn't see any of the colour of my eye. The iris was far over here, or maybe it was far in. I don't even know. I can't recall exactly anymore. It was a long time ago. Anyway, I have seen in pictures that you couldn't see the colour of my eye. It was completely white, and this one was quite turned in as well. So the iris, looking straight ahead, the iris came to about here and was far in. Anyway, so this is something I chose to work on. I shared my experience of having this problem, released quite a bit of emotion around it, and there was a lot of emotion. This experience had come with surgery, it had come with some physical pain in treatment, it had come with bullying, a lot of bullying, and a lot of victim stuff around, why did this happen to me? It was a genetic issue, so why is my family faulty? Why did I get to be fucked up? Why did I get the fucked up genetics? It isn't fair. A lot of that sort of shit. Not terribly uncommon. I think a lot of us have stuff like that where it's not fair. Life is not fair. I grew up, my mantra as a child is, it's not fair. And eventually in adulthood I learned, actually, it's not fair. So, I've spent a few years processing into it's not fair. I now have a child who constantly says to me, it's not fair. So I'm getting that experience reflected back to me, which is a bit of a challenge. Anyway, I came through this process, and I now have vision returning in my left eye that I didn't have before. I walked in semi-darkness because the sun had not risen. I had walked this morning in semi-darkness down to the beach with my good eye covered, and walked, for a good solid 5 minutes with my bad eye, inverted commas, just directing me and seeing, and my vision has improved significantly in that eye. It's really quite incredible and bizarre to, obviously whatever my genetics set me up to experience, and the pre-verbal patterning that happened in my brain is now gone. It's gone. And it's really interesting because I think, and a lot of the training we're doing is saying that when a big change happens, we really need to celebrate. We need a rah emotional experience to set that in place. And I'm feeling like that isn't actually true for me. It's true for a lot of people. I've seen it be true for a lot of people. I've experienced it to be true for me as well. But I think on the really big stuff, for me, once there's a deep knowing, I don't need the external rah, because the internal experience is so powerful and so strong that there's just this knowing of it just is. It just is. And I think that for me comes down to my belief is that we are all infinite spiritual beings having a human experience. And so the shift for me has been a shift in my human experience. But my spiritual being hasn't shifted at all. My spiritual being has now an alignment. So my human experience has shifted closer to my infinite being, and it's shifted. This is making me quite teary. My human experience has shifted closer to my true spiritual experience. It has shifted closer to my truest expression of myself. And so from there, I don't need the human rah, because I have the spiritual infinite. Yes. I have that deep experience of, yes, this is who you are. This is who you are as an infinite being. This is who I am. Who I am as an infinite being is perfection. And anything on the exterior, anything on the human experience that doesn't match that is temporary. And so I guess I've really experienced that in the last 12 hours, is that anything that is the human experience that doesn't match the perfection of my spiritual essence can be changed. It can be changed. It's just an experience. It's just like I was sitting here in the dark before sunrise, and now I'm sitting here in the light. And so it's just an external experience that has changed in the last 20 minutes while I've been sitting here. And so anything in my human experience can be changed just as easily, not easily is not the right word, it can be changed just as simply. And so I'm sitting here today as my human self is sitting here as a truer representation of my spiritual essence. And sometimes it might be for you or for someone else that the exterior human experience needs to be something that maybe we don't expect. Our humanness can't always know what will be in alignment with our spiritual essence. our human ego, arrogance, doesn't always know what is the true alignment to our spiritual truest self. And so when we go through transformational things, we have an expectation. We have an expectation that it's going to look a certain way, that it's going to play out a certain way. But that's ego, that's human expectation, that's an arrogance within us, that we know how our spiritual self wants to express itself in this human life, in this human experience. And we don't know. Some people are born without limbs. They're born without arms and legs. And so they can't go through a counselling process and grow arms and legs. I mean, well, I don't think so, If they're a starfish, they could. If they're a human, it's probably pretty unlikely that they're going to grow fully formed arms and legs. So that spirit has an external alignment in a human self that doesn't have arms and legs. And so it is arrogant of our human selves to think, well, that person is imperfect in their humanness because they don't have arms and legs, because they're not aligned to a spirit, they're not aligned spiritually. Well, the spiritual self obviously is aligned with having no arms and legs. And so I'm rambling, but I guess what I'm trying to say is when we go through powerful personal experiences, when we go through counselling experiences, when we go to a counsellor for an outcome, then perhaps the outcome we get isn't what we expect, but perhaps it is more closely aligned with our truest self. We don't know how it's going to look. We truly don't know how it's going to look. So I'm sitting with that today. I'm sitting with this neurological shift that's happening with me here and this side of my brain, and I can physically feel my brain ticking along, which is a little disruptive for me, which is a big reason why I didn't sleep. And I'm just sitting with the changes that are happening, and I'm sitting with this new knowing in my spiritual essence and letting that fall into its alignment. Big changes. And I now know that we can all have these big changes, but they might not look like we expect them to look. Who's to know how these things play out? So that is my sunrise wisdom for you on this amazing, gorgeous day. I wish you all the most beautiful day possible for your spiritual essence. What is your spiritual essence looking for today? If this doesn't know, be open to the truth. Be open to it unfolding in front of you. And whatever that magnificence is, I hope that you experience it today.